Congressman Scott, Admiral Kelso, Admiral Moz, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Admiral Kelso. Your presence here today lends a real special meaning to this event and has made it very, very special to my entire crew. And I certainly appreciate you being here. Thank you again. Well, Dad, I finally caught up with you. For a long time, I've been secretly envious of the battle efficiency pennant that, or as it's known, the meatball, that you have hanging on your wall at home from your command tour in your destroyer, the Robert K. Huntington. One of my ships has finally equaled that record. As a word of explanation, please notice the collection of 4 small E's of various colors and the larger white E painted on our bridge wing. Over the last few years, we've enjoyed steady improvement in each mission area. The small black E is for excellence in maritime warfare combat systems, red for engineering and damage control, green for command and control, and blue for logistics management or supply. Every ship which successfully earns these 4 departmental awards is also given the White Battle Efficiency Award. As a result, every single man in this entire crew, regardless of his level of individual responsibility, has helped earn these awards. The least responsible man contributes, or conversely, can cause the loss of his mission area award. It is an easily identifiable symbol of the fine crew with whom I have worked. I would like to single out just a few men for special recognition. COs and engineer officers of nuclear cruisers are usually in their billet for a relatively long time. My engineer, Lieutenant Commander Steve Parks, and I have served with a total of 15 executive officers, major department heads, or command master chiefs. Each of those men have been truly outstanding and brought a profusion of fresh ideas and enthusiasm to this ship. But through it all, Steve has steadily improved material condition and state of training while ensuring his huge department provided reliable services and operated to the highest safety standards. I appreciate him enduring my quirks for this long tour together and for the absolutely outstanding job he has done. Most ships are no better than their chief's quarters, and we have an outstanding group. On our most recent deployment, they successfully completed 100% enlisted surface warfare qualification and are the single reason why 60% of the crew overall have completed this complex effort. In particular, this ship looks superb today because Bosun Mate's Chief Ward made her that way. He is a genuine deck plate supervisor who is always found out in the elements on the deck with his men. One of the quickest ways to destroy anyone's positive attitude is to fumble his pay. Our senior chief dispersing clerk Rodriguez is the most positive, customer-oriented paymaster I've ever met. We don't have pay problems, and neither do our embarked staffs. These few examples of senior leadership are not the only answer, and outstanding petty officers like Machinery Repairman First Class Stallworth, Gunner's Mate First Harrow, Machinist Mate First LePage, our current Sailor of the Year, and Signalman Second Class Gearing, who has been aboard longer than anyone else, and a few hundred more outstanding young men represent our nation's finest. Every outside team that has visited us has complimented us on our attitude, performance, and the overall cleanliness of the ship. Our long-term goal was to put her out proud, and while that may not be the most perfect English, I report to each of you that we have achieved our goal. I hope every one of you has time to come aboard today and notice that Virginia still reflects the pride of her crew. Anyone who has ever served as CO understands that it's not your labor or the crew alone, but the contribution of many people who make it all happen. I'd like to recognize some of those individuals or groups today. First, I'd like to recognize my wife. When I assumed command, you accepted significant responsibility also. You have done that job with remarkable skill, patience, and genuine class. Thank you, dear. Every ship has a family support group. On this ship, it has been a group where wives and sweethearts have provided each other mutual support when the ship has been at sea and have accomplished a succession of worthwhile projects. I thank you for helping needy families, organizing children's parties, supporting the phone tree when the schedule changed and changed and changed again, and mostly helping each other when we have been gone. This year's officers are headed by Mrs. Donna Heaston. Would all of you ladies, either past or present, stand up and be recognized? I have also been helped by a succession of the most capable ombudsmen I have ever known. I am truly amazed by the dedication of these ladies. They willingly give their time first to be trained and then through innumerable phone calls. When they pick up the phone, the variety of challenges are endless, and the people at the other end aren't always even pleasant. Their only rewards are a feeling of satisfaction and the knowledge they have helped immensely. Ladies, I can't adequately begin to express my appreciation. Our current ombudsmen are Mrs. Donna Rourke and Mrs. Ray Strubing. Also present today from the recent past are Mrs. Debbie Conran, Ms. Joanne Berry, and Mrs. Dottie Vexter. Would you ladies please stand? Thank you. Thank you all very much. USS Virginia was built and homeported in Virginia. Naturally, we have enjoyed tremendous support from the Virginia Councils of the Navy League of the United States. First, I'd like to mention the Norfolk Women's Council. You ladies have been steadfast supporters of this ship. I appreciate the special recognition you give our Sailors of the Year and your continued interest and enthusiasm in this ship. Please stand. In addition, Virginia was formally adopted by the Richmond Council. When we returned from Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and so many of you were on the pier with our families, I first appreciated the bond between your council and this ship. My second lesson was, as I call it, the Peter Wren effect. When we scheduled a dependence cruise, Peter called me and said, "I'm the new president and you're the new captain, and I'm having trouble holding our participation to 2 busloads. Can I bring 3?" And with that, we set a new standard. From the first days when you helped Admiral Davis pick our ship's seal, until today, when you have helped with the ceremony and the reception that follows, I couldn't ask for better friends. Please stand up and be recognized. Thank you all again. We are joined today by a number of Virginia plank owners. We built her and breathed life into her. She has turned out well. Would you gentlemen please stand? I know from the number of phone calls we have received that there are many other former Virginia crewmen here today. Would you stand and be recognized? One last group. Throughout her lifetime, from just after construction until the decommissioning availability, which starts next Tuesday, Virginia has been altered, updated, and repaired by the craftsmen at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. Long-term people like Mr. Linwood Mirror and Mr. M.C. Messick have always had the ship's best interests at heart and have returned us to sea better than we were when we arrived. Thank you all very much. Last but not least is the ship herself. Built during the height of the Cold War, it's a good thing she was never required to fulfill her ultimate design function. I guess the closest she came was a cameo appearance in Tom Clancy's book, Red Storm Rising, as an escort for the USS Nimitz. After nearly 3 years in command and 3 years as her chief engineer, I know her strengths and weaknesses well. The Virginia class was evolutionary in a number of ways with an integrated combat system, the first Mark 26 guided missile launchers, flush deck hatches, labor-saving elevators, conveyors, yellow gear, and wide main deck passageways. In addition to their design functions, those main deck passageways have always been a superb jogging track. In fact, during our 3-month deployment last fall, 94 men ran more than 38 leagues around the main deck, and a total of over 15,000 miles were logged. Naturally, this level of activity had enormous benefit in our physical readiness program. On the other hand, anything this complex had some special challenges. The original helicopter hangar was a whole volume of history unto itself. In spite of many changes, the ammunition elevator still has a tendency to leak, and the drain hole streak rust down the side. In addition, Admiral Davis, I would report the potable water pumps still fall off the line frequently, and the captain still seems to be the first one to notice. All the little fittings and intricate foundations seem to rust overnight and must have been designed to torment sailors. Keeping a ship looking great rather than rusty is a challenge, but it has always seemed to be a little more difficult with this class. As is predictable, the individual equipment had quirks, and at least during my tour, Mount 51 and the missile launchers drove us crazy. The SPS-40 radar was just as bad until Chief Conran, after many attempts, found the perfect combination of adjustments. In spite of these problems, she always managed to shine at the right time, and we steamed CASREP free for our entire 3-month deployment to the Caribbean last fall. We did our last torpedo exercise, which was successful, as we departed the Caribbean on 7 December, and 2 days later shot the 5-inch guns and the close-in weapon system for the last time. Virginia was a ship handler's delight. Twin screws with big twin rudders directly behind them made her predictable and maneuverable. 11 months ago, we were caught at sea by a massive storm, sometimes called the Storm of the Century. We were the flagship for the Standing Naval Forces Atlantic at the time, with Rear Admiral Don Dyer embarked. At its height, the storm was spectacular, with 100-knot winds and steep, wind-blown 25-foot seas. We all had one bad night where we just hung on and tried to sleep a little. But we came through it with no damage. Now, I fully realize the craftsmen at Newport News Shipbuilding deserve most of the credit, but as a plank owner, I seldom can resist responding to compliments about Virginia with the quip, "Of course, that's the way we built her." A few years ago, a book was published about ships built at Newport News Shipbuilding called Always Good Ships. I think that's the way I'll always think of her. Big, tough, maneuverable, and always a good ship. Thank you very much.